James Woods can say is, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When a Bowen turned into a vampire, all James Woods could say was, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he became Peter's best friend, they sat around the house and said, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. And you know that James Woods practiced his lines real well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When they know that he's nectar, the best of them all, when he says, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. Reese's Pieces on the floor and watch him come a saying, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. And you know that James Woods practices his lines real well, but everything that he reads becomes real hard to spell. Everyone tries to help him, but the words just won't come out. There's only one thing he can think of, and it's what comes out his mouth. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. When he comes out of his house, the women scream and shout. Ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy, ooh, a piece of candy. Ooh, a piece of candy.
we have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. We must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest.
I am a revolutionary, and you're going to have to keep on saying that. You're going to have to say that I am a proletarian. I am the people.
As a councilwoman, do you think you should really be in handcuffs? Does that send a good message? You're breaking the law?
This is about political leadership. All the best activists in the past and in the present have put their lives on the line to fight for the rights of workers.
They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Hey, just figuring out if I drank too much coffee or not. We'll see. It may be one of those kind of shows. Good thing I have a bucket next to the couch here, and because the bathroom's a little far away. TMI. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Extra Bulla, however the fuck you say it. I don't care as long as you show up. This week, we have a great guest. We'll get to her in just a second. Shout out, as always, to the Hamburger Hobos and the Gamaguchis for the awesome intro music this evening. It is Thursday, the last day of September, and that means Halloween is only a month away. The whole month of October is just so much fun for me. I hope it's fun for you. My lady's birthday is on the 6th. She would kill me if I said how old she was, so I will say she's younger than a redwood tree that currently grows in California, and we'll just leave it at that to be safe. So we have to be safe because she's the boss, and she will fire me. That's pretty much a given. Tonight we have a very special guest. Like I said, last week we had Fiorella from the Combo Couch breaking our Sausage Festival streak. Finally have some decent broads on this show. We're continuing the streak here. Let me see where her info is here. She is the co-host of Action for Assange with Andrew Smith. Also the co-host of Facts on the Ground with Jesse Zerwell. And she is the sole host of Bitch with Comrade Misty. Ladies and gentlemen, Comrade Misty. Hello, Dollface. How are you? That's you. You made it to the internets. You know, we are on YouTube, so we don't know how long. we don't know how long this is going to last, seeing how the axe was going down today. So, I'm pretty sure we'll be talking mostly about kittens. So hopefully they won't take us down for that. So, but the 2021's been crazy. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good today. Thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. Fee's a hard act to follow, though, so hopefully I can keep up some of that same energy that Fiorella always brings, because she's one of my favorite fams. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, I have 4 Monster energy drinks on ice. If this coffee don't cut it, and... because I've seen you on your shows before, and your energy level, especially.
Yeah, I remember after one of the bitch episodes in the group DM that we're in, you said something like, "Man, you were really hyper last night," and I had been off my ADHD meds for a while, and I was like, "Nobody's gonna know." Like, and then somebody says something like that, and I'm like, "Okay, they know."
Somebody that deals with ADHD themselves, we kind of know our people, so it's like, yeah, she's pretty fucking hyper. Yeah. Which I love it. I love it. I would rather, as long as you don't, go crazy and overheat and have like, a heart attack or something, as long as that energy is good for you, it's good for me. You know what I mean?
It might have been even you one time. Was it you one time that said, I was watching and I was like, please take a breath. You're going to like hyperventilate. I'm like, I have excellent breath control. It might not have been you, but somebody said that once after one of my shows too. They're like, Jesus, I was watching you. You need to like take a breath. And I'm like, it's okay. I have really great breath control. I really do. I can time my rants very well. It's all good, guys. You don't have to worry about me. It's fine.
See,
I do get a little crazy.
And just like last week, this is going to be an easy show for me because I'm just going to get the remote. Misty, go. And I'll be like, yeah.
All you got to do is find something to get me going, and then I can just go. I'll just go. Once you get me fired up and I go off, it's kind of hard to shut me up. I have to tell people, this is not a joke. When I go on people's shows, I usually tell them, you know me, so I didn't feel like I needed to tell you, but I have to tell them, like, I will, like, just go off. So you may have to just, like, interrupt me. It's okay. Don't consider it rude. Like, don't think you may have to just shut me up.
I grew up with 2 sisters. There's no way in hell that I'm going to interrupt a lady when you go. I'm gonna try and hit the gaps in the sentences where you have to take a breath. I'll probably try and jump in there, but I'm not making any promises. Okay. I just want to, we got some. We actually got people again this week watching. This is amazing. I want to give some shout outs.
Hi guys.
Yeah, we got Lucky Burrito in the house.
Daryl's here.
Daryl is here. Black in the Empire. Steve Cutler live. Steve Cutler's doing a show tonight, 10 o'clock on the YouTubes. Be a nice little after show for this. I always like listening to Steve play his beautiful guitar, and it's just like something to crash out to. It's so nice. And I really appreciate him being that. We got Spittin' Venoms in the house, too. What's up, brother?
Oh, hey.
So all the Hee Haw gang is here.
Yeah.
So first things first, I know you pretty much talk about him every show, and I want you to talk about him here now. But what I want to know is, as far as Julian Assange is concerned, now I asked Fee her Marvel origin story last week, so I was curious, what led you down that road to that made you such an advocate for not just the freedom of Julian Assange, but freedom of press in general?
Well, I've always kind of been pretty big into free press, free speech. It's always been something that I've seen as extremely important. Especially if you intend to fight for anything else, you definitely need those 2 things in order to do that effectively. But as far as being super involved, I wasn't really super involved until Julian Assange was pulled out of the Ecuadorian embassy. I was a casual, supporter. I would donate. I bought merch. I read all of the releases. I considered myself to be like an advocate for and a supporter of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks. But really when when he was essentially kidnapped from the Ecuadorian embassy. That kind of was a smack in the face, I think, for me, and it made me realize how serious it was. And I say this all the time. That's I hate myself for it now for not having been more involved before then. But that really, I think, set something off in me. And I realized that because I think before it was always like, oh, you know, they're going to have to let him out eventually. And it sucked that he was being held arbitrarily in the Ecuadorian embassy. But I was like, you know, eventually this will all work itself. And then no, then they arrested him. And so that really kind of set something off. And I realized how like critical this was. And that's when I kind of went hyperdrive. You know, I have an obsessive personality anyways. And so once I get focused on something, it's like hyper focus.
Right. Well, I mean, and Julian Assange and free press is something very important to get hyper-focused on, particularly with events that have been happening this year with censorship of not just independent media, but also just regular people like Ron Paul, you know. Had his channel taken
and it's
down
across
today.
the board. It's not just the left, it's not just the right, it's not just the Alex Joneses, you know, the universally despised. It's everybody. You know, they're taking down, you know, like 21 foreign language news websites in one day, and Richard Medhurst is constantly attacked, Nico's constantly attacked, Convo Couch is still demonetized on YouTube. You know, there's a ton of people today. Ron Placone got locked out of his channel. I think Steve got locked out of his channel again. You know, this happens all the time, and it's going to continue to happen. And it's really scary because we're now to the point. I mean, they just said today that YouTube's going to start taking down anything that they deem to be misinformation about COVID or vaccines. That's fucking scary, y'all. Because who gets to decide what's misinformation? Because even like the information we had 6 months ago from like official sources would now be seen as misinformation. So it's this crazy. It's getting so bad, and I really have a difficult time because I feel bad that I can't find the right words to get people to recognize how serious this is, because this is really serious. Like this, to me, the Assange case, what's happening to Assange, and just the censorship in general is kind of, we're at like a turning point. You know what I mean? We're going to go one of two different ways. And one way leads directly into fascism. We already kind of live in fascism now. But if they are able to have that sort of control over information and journalism, we are so screwed. You know what I mean? It's bad.
Oh, yeah. I came up about 30 years ago. I was in media down south. I started out as a production assistant, and then throughout the years I made my way up to like an executive producer. So as far as like news content on the local level was concerned, it's very important. I guess it's kind of a different beast because it's local as compared to like national, but still it's kind of a microcosm of what you're dealing with on the national and world scale. Because now what I'm seeing, a lot of these local TV stations are getting bought up by like Clear Channel, or I think they're called something else now, but they used to be called Clear Channel. Thanks to the Telecommunications Act of '96, where now a handful of these companies can buy not just giant media companies, but also like local television stations too. And there was a video I saw, and it showed like it was cutting to about like 50 different news stations.
The montage that was Sinclair, Sinclair Broadcasting.
That was Sinclair, yeah. It was like the same story, the same lead in. Now, I have to say, from a local person, insider, some of that's probably just lazy. They just said, you know what, they get those scripts in, and they're like, all right, good enough. We're going to put that on there. But still, that's still lazy journalism, even if it's for, if you're doing something like a kicker, like a flower show, or like, everybody came out today for the big family fair at so-and-so. You could do that whatever you want. But when you're talking about important news, you shouldn't just ham-fist it like that. You should not be a stenographer. And I think that's all these.
That's really indicative of the state of journalism, though, because if you think about it, how many times have we seen the AP report something and then all of the other outlets just regurgitate whatever they said? And that happens all the time. They just reprint or regurgitate, something that somebody else, there was one article that CNN said, they just basically just copy pasted somebody else's reporting. And that happens all the time. And yes, it is a little bit of laziness, but it's also the fact that, our media is completely corporate controlled. I mean, years ago, they said 90% of the media was controlled by 5 or 6 corporations. I'm sure it's worse than that now. There's been more mergers. And so we're dangerously close to having complete 100% corporate control of all of our information, all of our media sources. That's really scary because these people clearly, obviously they have an agenda. And so, to have a situation where we have no idea what's happening. It takes a lot of effort to find truth in this world. And most people just don't have the time. So we're living amongst people who are completely clueless about what's happening in the world around them. And that's not good.
Well, that Rolling Stone article not too long ago is a perfect example of that. How they were saying, they can't get in to the hospital, these gunshot victims, because of the the woogie boogie and all this. And it was like, no, who is it? I think it was Jimmy Dore pointed out. Said, what these guys, this was supposed to be in August in Oklahoma, and these guys are all wearing parkas, these big parkas and stuff like. I've been to Oklahoma in the summertime. And ain't nobody wearing big coats. So but so many people. The big media, mainstream media, picked up on that too. And I don't know that anybody's done a retraction of that story, a legit retraction. I don't know. Even the actual article, they didn't do a retraction. What'd they call it? Jimmy Dore talked about this too. It wasn't a retraction. They did a correction or an update. An update. This article has now been updated. They didn't retract their initial bullshit. They just edited, or they just made the. Come on, that's ridiculous. If we go back to Julian Assange, a huge example that I like to bring up all the time is the Paul Manafort story. Luke Harding wrote an article for The Guardian that to this day is still on their website, which is amazing. It's not really amazing, but it's kind of amazing to me, about Paul Manafort visiting Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy 3 times. The Ecuadorian embassy, when Julian Assange was there, was probably the most surveilled building on planet Earth. First of all, London is an incredibly surveilled city, period. It's one of the most surveilled cities on planet Earth. And then add to the fact that Julian Assange is in the Ecuadorian embassy. There were cameras everywhere. There were people in cars. We have video evidence of this. People in cars, sitting around outside, watching the building. And there's no video evidence. There's no witnesses. There's nothing that ever showed that Paul Manafort ever visited Julian Assange. He never signed in. None of the employees could say that he had ever been there. But Luke Harding wrote this whole ass article where he even invented, this is my favorite part, he even invented a whole ass outfit. I think it was a pastel colored polo and sandy colored chinos. He invented a whole ass outfit for Paul Manafort to wear to go visit Julian Assange in the Ecuadorian embassy and just made it up. It's a completely fabricated story based on sources say, and it's still up on the Guardian's website to this day. It's crazy. And the only people that are pointing this out are you and the Convo Couch, Slow News Day, Fred Hampton Leftist. All the independent media has been decrying all this stuff for months, and well before the mainstream media even catches up to it. So, and every once in a while, you'll see they'll report on something that Aaron Mate did last year, or Max Blumenthal did last year, or you did last year, or something like that. And it's all of a sudden it's news because it's okay to report that now.
Well, that's the Yahoo article, the newest Yahoo article on Julian Assange and the fact that the CIA had been plotting to kidnap or murder him. Max Blumenthal wrote that article in May of last year, or May of 2020. So May of last year. But that happens, and that's it. And really, it's not even just Max. It's the UC Global case. When that story broke about UC Global and the fact that Sheldon Adelson and the CIA were working with UC Global and David Morales, who was the owner of UC Global at the time, to spy on Julian Assange. They tried to steal his baby's diaper. Like, all of this stuff had come out. But now all of a sudden they're trying to pretend like this is, and I'll take it. Listen, I'll take it. I'll take the mainstream coverage. I will absolutely 100% take it. I will use it to my advantage. I will try to get new eyes on the story and get people interested in what's happening to Julian Assange. But this is not like some breaking news. This is, we've long since known that the CIA has been doing this stuff to Julian Assange for a very long time.
Well, and if you know, journalists and advocates like you have known this for a while, surely mainstream media has known this the whole time. So why sit on this and wait till now when they have the resources? They probably knew this last year at the same time that Max and you and everybody else did. So why wait till now? Did. Is it safe to do it now?
Jimmy, maybe that's part of it. I honestly don't know. And I hate to be skeptical of it, but I am skeptical of everything. It makes me hesitant. I'm constantly questioning everything anything that happens. I'm wary of it. So I don't know what the agenda is, because Michael Isikoff has an agenda. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's an establishment guy. He's an establishment journalist. Not to say that he hasn't done great work, but he's not somebody that I trust. So it's, you have to be hesitant and skeptical and wonder what the agenda is in covering it now. I will definitely use it. The fact that it's in Yahoo is a huge advantage to Assange activists, because we can use that to get new eyes on it. People who wouldn't ordinarily pay attention to it, and the only thing that they listen to is mainstream sources. And if you bring them a gray zone article, they're like, oh, the gray zone, yeah, they work for Russia. Well, if I bring you Yahoo, then maybe you'll pay attention. So I'll use it, but I'm still going to remain skeptical about what the purpose of this coming out now is.
Right. I mean, I'm with you. I'm like, the more ears that this gets, the more eyes and ears that this gets to now, the better. But it's just like, I'm with
I kind of wonder if they're gauging public opinion. Like, if this is, if they're trying to get a feel for where the general consensus is on the Assange situation. I don't know. I wish I knew. But you're right. Of course, Michael Isikoff knew that this was going down a year ago. Rachel Maddow has known. Chris Cuomo has known. They all know. Again, Max Blumenthal wrote this article in May of 2020. You know that they read Max Blumenthal. They all do. You know.
I think. With all the, even though it is independent media that has been putting all this news on blast, I think now with that constant, because with Action for Assange, you have a whole show dedicated to this, so which is great, and I think that constant repetition of getting that information out, getting it out, it hits more and more ears, and then at the same time, you have you see Biden and the administration, the popularity is starting to weaken too, and people are starting to think, well, Trump was bad, and I'm glad that Biden's president, but things are starting to looking about the same as where Trump was. Right. Not everybody's saying that. You still got your shit-lib cheerleaders that are still holding them up somehow, but you're starting to see more and more people fall by the wayside and say, hey, wait a minute, and maybe more and more people are starting to, see your shows and see more independent news and are thinking,
well, that's the biggest hurdle that we've had, is that there's been essentially an entire media blackout. The mainstream media very rarely even mentions Julian Assange. And when they do, it's to, trash him covertly. They always lead with something terrible and then kind of hem and haw about the First Amendment or whatever. It's always terrible coverage. It's never legitimate. And it's very rare to even get coverage, in general. So like the reason why we do the vigil, and we do it twice a week, and we have done so for, I don't even know, like 120 weeks or something now. I don't remember what week we're on. But that's the reason why, because there is no, really consistent reporting on it. And there's such a media blackout that's most of the people that I meet, are either grossly misinformed about who Julian Assange is, why he's in prison, what he did, whatever, or they have no idea who Julian Assange is. They've never heard of him. You would be amazed at the number of people who have just never heard of Julian Assange at all. And that's, to me, that's scary, because what's happening to him is a direct reflection of what's coming for all of us, and people don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, nobody's putting two and two together. Like, oh, everybody thinks that Julian Assange is just some sort of like a freedom fighter or something, and he's just one of many that's in jail. It's like, well, no, he's a journalist, and he's probably the most he's exposed the biggest scars of the American government since I've been alive. Anyway, even at least since Watergate. To me. Yeah. I mean, I realize that I'm biased because of what I do, but to me, he is the most consequential journalist of all time. And I don't even think it's close. Right. Not only did he revolutionize the way journalism is done. I mean, everybody now knows about secure drop boxes. Everybody uses them. All major outlets have a secure drop box for leaks and stories and all of that stuff. Well, Julian Assange is the one. Julian Assange and WikiLeaks are the ones that invented that, created that, put that out there. So they revolutionized the way journalism is done, period. But then he has broken more stories and exposed more corruption, not just of the United States government, but of corporations, governments around the world. I mean, he has exposed and broken more stories than I would venture to say all other journalists combined. And he's never gotten it wrong. And that's, to me, that's the big thing, is that this dude has never had to retract a single word that he has ever published in 15 years. That's impressive. It's probably because of that, because he is Teflon in that respect, that they are punishing him and keeping him locked away, because they know he's done no wrong as far as journalism is concerned. And if he's let free to do more damage, he's gonna, because he knows how to do it. He knows how to get this information from people and to get it out. Whereas, like, back in the day, in the Daniel Ellsberg days, it was all hard copies and stuff like that, and go-betweens and that sort of thing. A lot of danger in that respect, but kind of the same way here. But instead of paper, we were talking digital. But it's more or less the same kind of cloak and dagger thing going on,
Yeah. And he's the fact that he's been able to break so many stories and never get it wrong and never expose a source, because people will say, oh, but Chelsea Manning got in trouble. That had nothing to do with Julian Assange. She was in a chat conversation with Adrian Lamo, and she confessed to him that she had given the stuff to Julian Assange, and that's how she got caught. That had nothing to do with Julian Assange. So to be able to release that kind of information at that level, I mean, this is a guy who has broken stuff like the Guantanamo Bay files, the Iraq and Afghanistan war logs, all kinds of corporate corruption, environmental corruption. He's leaked stuff on Russia. He's leaked, just amazing stories, and never, ever getting it wrong. And there's not a single news outlet on planet Earth that has that kind of record. And to me, that's what's impressive. I mean, I remember when he did that interview with, I think it was Sean Hannity from the Ecuadorian embassy, when he said that the source for the DNC leaks was not a state actor. And people were like, oh, okay, you believe him? You're goddamn right, I believe him. Are you kidding me? This is a guy who's never gotten it wrong. You really think he didn't have to say anything. He could just say, I'm not going to discuss who my source is. And everybody would have been an acceptable answer. You know what I'm saying? Right. Instead, he made it a point to say it was not a state actor. And if he is going to be willing to do that, I know he takes that record very seriously. The fact that they've never gotten it wrong. So yes, when he says it wasn't a state actor, I absolutely 1000% believe him.
And he had a chance to get the get out of jail free card too under Trump. Even though we found out later that we found out last year, and now we found out through the mainstream media that Trump was trying to put the kibosh on him. But didn't he offer him a deal to say he would get his freedom?
Dana Rohrabacher did, or whatever. I'm sure that multiple deals were made. I have no doubt. There's no doubt that multiple deals were made. Julian Assange would never, ever do something like that, though, in my opinion. I don't think he would ever. He's never going to expose a source. I don't think he would ever compromise WikiLeaks' reputation. for something like that, which again just speaks to the strength of character that he has. I tell this story all the time because to me it's incredibly impressive. This is a guy who, and this is the reason why Mike Pompeo had such a hard on for offing him. He was already years into arbitrary detention at the Ecuadorian embassy when Vault 7 was released in 2017. He already knew that he was public enemy number one of the national security state. And he released Vault 7 anyway, which is the largest CIA leak in history. That takes balls, like immense, huge, giant, like, I don't know if I have that kind of courage. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really crazy to go straight at the CIA in that way. The largest CIA leak in history. When you're Julian Assange, you already know you have like the most powerful people on earth are your enemies. And you're going to expose them even further. Like, that's so crazy. But that's just who he is. That's, I think that he takes it very seriously. He takes his shit very seriously.
Well, yeah, I mean, if this was all an act, it's an incredible years-long act that involves, getting tortured. I mean, I don't know any kind of actor that would go through that, if they were, in the wrong in any sort of way. So I know we could talk about Assange all night. You've said so yourself.
Yeah.
But I think I have something over here, and I forgot to prep this. So give me just a second here.
We're doing it live, bitches.
We're trying to make money off of Julian Assange here.
Hey, lay off my grift.
Hey, look, listen, this is for you, all right? I'm your unofficial graphic make you money guy. So
all right.
I don't know how this is going to work out. So let me see here. We're going to do this. All right. So just give me 1 second here because I've got some goodies for your show so that you can grift to your heart's content. I know that's what you want to do. So let me see here.
I'm the worst grifter on earth, just so we're clear.
Oh yeah. I couldn't sell water to a fireman if the house was on fire, you know what I mean? I couldn't even give it to them. They'd be like, no, I don't want this.
It just makes me giggle when people say I'm a grifter. It's so funny.
You are a grifter, but you're the sweetest grifter I know, and I appreciate you being that. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Okay. Let me set this up. I'm almost ready. Okay.
You're fine.
Okay. So here's the first thing. We did this last week. This was kind of a pasta thing. Nice. He invented the bread and round alliance. So I figured, okay, bread and round cheese. So he shouldn't have to make all that money himself. So spread the wealth, pasta. That's what we're all about here. So there's the Assange shirt. And for those who want even more Assange, there he is there. Of course,
nice.
Looking very, I don't know. Some people are they like face shirts. Some don't like face shirts. So, we give you an option. There's the famous shit libs. No shit libs allowed here. We also have the Putin puppet.
Yeah.
With his nice stink. He's got a little bit of a stink face on there. Like, meh, I'm a Putin puppet. Meh.
He does.
It's a poor Putin impression. Sorry about that. There, I think this is a great shirt to have. You should definitely, in all seriousness, this should be part of the what you sell on the merch store. Do you have a merch store?
I do not. I told you I'm the worst. Listen, y'all, people call me a grifter. None of my channels are monetized. I've never had, I have a Patreon because somebody requested that I make one, and he is to this day still my only patron. I never promote it. I've never done any of the stuff. I don't have merch. I don't have, I am legitimately when people call me a grifter, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. It's ridiculous.
Right.
It's
I'm not
insane.
monetized. I don't have any patrons.
None of my channels
really.
have ever been monetized. Much to my husband's chagrin. Like, he hates it. He's like, you work hard on these shows. You do it like you. It's okay to get. And I'm not saying that it's people who are monetized. That's not bad. I don't know why that people consider that to be a bad thing. I know what it takes to put on a show. It's a lot of fucking work. And so you should be compensated for that. And that's okay. Like, we shouldn't be calling those people grifters or like trying to make that out to be like a bad thing. Nobody's forcing you to contribute or donate to those people's shows if you don't want to. So just fuck off. I'm so tired of these people. Sorry.
Yeah,
you could get me going about these turds too.
Well, I mean, it does. Yeah. It is kind of ridiculous. It's just like people just throw that word grifter out there like it's a, an, or the. You know, it's like not everybody's a grifter, dude. You know, some people are doing this. I mean, I hopefully will do this to the point where I can make my rent. You know, where I can pay for my phone and pay for my internet, pay for food, and maybe have a little extra to do something with my girl. That's it. And nobody's trying to get rich over here. You know, it's all about just wanting to do this full time. And in order to do that, unfortunately, you need funds to do that. So
you need to be compensated. And it is work. You should be compensated for your work. Especially, I love that all these people on the quote unquote left who pretend to be communists and think that, you know, workers should be compensated for their work fairly and then expect people to do this shit for free. Like, you don't make any sense. Right. You know, we're trying to do the whole worker owned, you know, get away from corporations, and then you're going to criticize that too. Make up your mind. Well, you know what I'm saying? It's so annoying.
I don't think people know what exactly. They hear things that sound good, and then they espouse those for a while till they actually figure out what it is. And they're like, oh, and then they'll jump on something else. So, but we have more here. So we have more money making opportunities for you. So let's get back to this.
More grift. Let's go.
There's more grift in here, baby. All right, what else we got here? I know you like using the kitty gif.
I love that gif, man.
I have to admit, I kind of stalked your page a little bit yesterday. I was looking for goodies.
That's all right.
I was going to do like some fun little video thing, but I couldn't find some really good stuff. So I said, okay, fuck it, we're going to do these shirts. So yeah, you must be drunk or high. You can just always change that whatever you like, you know, as long as kitty's on there and looking drunk as ever.
I love that gif. I really do. I use it all the time.
I know, just the
I love it.
Drunk ass kitty. This is a good one. I was hoping that this seems to be a moniker of a badge of honor for some folks. I have yet to get the show block.
Really?
I've gotten the Senk block, the Jenk block, and the Anna block. So I've got the mom and dad block, but I haven't got the show block yet. So I'm waiting on the hat trick. I've been doing my best, but they're a stubborn crowd.
Wow.
I guess they only have a certain amount of blocks they can do a day or something. I don't know how that works. And then this is me stealing your idea for Bastard with Uncle Warren, and yeah, it's just me just being pretty much a shitheel. So that's
I like it.
I don't think there's any more there. Okay, there, we're good there.
We need one that is cats on the ground instead of facts on the ground. So, I forget who we had on. Oh, it was when Jesse Jett was on Facts on the Ground the other day, and it ended up like divulging into a conversation about my multitude of my army of cats. And so somebody said that we should have like a cat show where it's just me and Jesse talking about cats for an hour, and we decided to name it Cats on the Ground. So I like it. So I need a Cats on the Ground.
All right, well, I'll fire up the old Photoshop machine after the show, and we'll get that bakery cooking those out for you. So so you got I've been let's see if we can I'm gonna try and see. Let me see if I can get your pictures up. You recently.
I'll yell at my husband while you're pulling these up and see if he'll go get her for me. Hold on.
Okay, cool. So,
okay. Can you go get Jack?
Let's see here.
You can hear me.
So this is Jack. Little Jack.
There's
now
baby Jack.
That's baby Jack. This was before. Now you said baby Jack had surgery today, right?
That picture, yes, that picture was taken the day that I found her. Well, okay, so I'll give a brief story. So the kittens are about 5 weeks old. We found them very soon after they had been born. And I had been going out and checking on them and making sure that everybody was okay and whatever. But then mom moved them. And so for like, I don't know, like maybe 7 to 10, 12 days, I didn't see them. And so finally I came back, I went back outside and they were underneath my porch on the other side. So I like ran over and I'm like, oh, hey kitties. And then little Jack came out. And with that, you guys just saw it, this huge ass thing on her eye. And I freaked out. And scooped her up and I ran inside. My mom's living with me right now. And I'm like, Mom, I need you to watch my kids. I have to go. And so I drove 45 minutes to Dublin, to the OSU Emergency Veterinary Clinic. And she lost her eye. Her surgery was this morning. And so that's today. That's a post-op pic. So yeah, poor little baby Jack. She's so tiny. She weighs just over a pound. She's like 1 pound, 1 ounce. And she's the cutest little nugget. She's very sassy and cuddly. She thinks she's a parrot. She likes to sit on my shoulder, which is, I don't know. She likes to lay on my neck and she likes to sit on my shoulder. She's a crazy cat. But yeah, little Jack lost her eye today, but she's doing great. The surgery went really well. She's a little drugged up and out of it, but she is doing really well. So,
and animals like that. And I grew up down south, and we had like a plethora of animals. We always had a whole bunch of like dogs and cats and stuff like that. And the cats are very, very resilient creatures. I mean, we had one that was missing like a back leg, but it was like, no big deal. The cat just adapted. Kind of ran funky, but, the cat was happy, was just doing its thing, and I'm pretty sure Jack's going to be the same way. Get acclimated to the one eye. Maybe you could get him get her a little pirate, eye patch. Like
somebody said for Halloween she needs to be a pirate for sure, and I'm like, now I got to find a little tiny pirate hat.
A little teeny tiny. I'm one of these people. Okay, so, My lady and I, we go to the New York Comic-Con every year, right? And they have this giant show floor where everybody's peddling their wares and whatnot. And there's always this guy, like way in the back, and he sells these teeny tiny hats. And they're just like, I don't know what it is. I just love hats. Like anything tiny, like a kitten, a puppy, a hat. If they're tiny, I'm just like, I just turn into, no, oh my goodness, a little bit. And I just start speaking this language. Like, my girl just kind of looks up at me like, the fuck's wrong with you? I
do the same thing though. Like when we go to a fancy restaurant and they have like the little baby Tabasco bottles. I'm like, oh, it's so cute.
It's like, I think it was, this is kind of random, but there was a cartoon on Adult Swim called Harvey Birdman. And there was a villain on there, and he would shrink things because he liked things tiny. So every time he'd shrink it, he goes, "Oh, it's so cute and tiny." I'm kind of like that too. I'd shrink him down and like, "Oh my goodness, you're so sweet." But then I get the look of disappointment from my girl. What is wrong with you? That's the look. Eye. That's the look. She's like, she's very supportive. Don't get me wrong. Oh, that was cute. She's very supportive, but she knows that I'm batshit a lot of the time. So she kind of tries to not control me, but control the batshit so that it doesn't go out of control. So if I'm like going crazy, seeing like a puppy pile-on video, because if I see puppies like crawling all over somebody, and it's just like, I think there's one in here. I gotta show you.
Here comes Jack.
Oh, sweet. I'm gonna put Jack up while I look for. Aww.
This is Jack. Oh, she's not happy about this little cup. She's pretty pissed sweetie. About it. Hi, little baby.
I'll be whipping you when you cat o' nine tails. Yar.
She's the sweetest thing.
Here we go. Puppy pile. I think she is just gorgeous. Do you think she's a runt? You think she's the runt of the litter?
No, she was the second. Okay, so I don't know if you were following the whole, because there was another cat that I was definitely the runt that I tried very desperately to nurse back to health. Like stayed up all night, 2 nights in a row, like fed it bottles and all of this stuff. And we ended up losing that one. So, but Jack was probably the next smallest one, I would say.
Oh, okay. Because I remember a while back when I had my cats, one of the cats was the runt, and was just the sweetest thing. And you could cradle her like a baby, right? And if you scratched a certain spot in her back, she'd start licking your nose, right?
Yeah.
And so I was a big time stoner back then. So I'm sitting there, I'm baked as a cake on the couch, and I'm watching something, and I'm sitting there scratching the cat's back, and the cat's licking, and I it's good like 20 minutes, and then I stop, and I'm like, oh shit, and I put the cat down, and the cat's just like, and just runs immediately to the water bowl. I didn't mean to torture the cat. I thought it was like everything was cool. I was scratching. She was licking the nose. You know, we were golden. And then the next thing you know, I practically dehydrated the poor thing. That's why I never had kids. I think, the cats were kind of the trial run. And for the most part, I did okay. But, if had those been humans, I think social services probably would have showed up. Pretty sure. The lady friend.
Cats are easier than kids, for sure.
Yeah.
Cats are easier than kids.
Although I had one, they were both house cats, and one of them got out, and she was gone for like 2-3 days, and I thought, okay, she's just gone. But then she, on the front door, and I opened the door, and it's like the cat's like, all right, I'm back, bitch. I hope you still got some food for me, and then she walked in. And,
went on a little adventure. It's fine.
Oh, I love those cats too. I miss like, that's what I miss about the South, I think, was we had like about 2.5 acres, and Dad had this huge, like, vegetable garden and stuff like that. And so we had, like I said, we had dogs, we had cats, we had chickens, we had turkeys, we had goats. The goat thing was hysterical because we had this windrow in the back of the property that had all this brush and stuff, and Dad said, oh, well, these goats are going to go and they're going to eat all that shit. And those goats had nothing to do with that brush back there. They would eat the grass that was around, and then you would feed them like corn and stuff, but then they're like, you're feeding us this corn. I ain't gonna go eat that shit out there. What the fuck's wrong with you? So goats are pretty fucking smart. Although when they stick their head through a fence and then they can't get it out, then they're pretty fucking smart. So yeah, been there, done that. That's no fun.
What's
You're
funny
just sitting there going,
I was never a cat person until we got cats for our kids. We initially tried a dog. So my oldest is autistic, and we had heard great things about dogs and children with autism. So we're like, okay, we'll get a puppy. Not a great plan. We didn't think that through very much because she very much does not enjoy her personal space being invaded, and puppies invade your personal space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's what they do. So that didn't work out very well. But we thought, okay, well, we'll try cats because cats leave you the fuck alone, right? And we're like, okay, that'll work out. She still doesn't really like the cats, but now I love cats. And I'm kind of a cat whisperer, like and I can't stand it. Like we have one cat that was a feral cat that I sat, literally, it was many years ago when we had one of the polar vortexes that came through in Ohio. And there was this cat outside, and I'm like, there's no way I can't leave this cat just outside. So I sat on my kitchen floor in the freezing cold with the door open for like hours a night, trying to coax this cat, like get this cat to like me, like trying to give it tuna and like feed it. But she wouldn't come in, and it took forever. And then finally she came in, and now she lives with us.
Was that the cat that was jumped on the chair a few minutes ago?
No, that's Daryl. Daryl was one of the ones that we originally got for our kids. And like I was telling you before the show, Daryl is my best boy. He is the best cat. He is such a calm, He's kind of a mother. Like all of the other cats he looks after, and he like grooms them, and he like this when this little nugget came along, we have her in our one of the guest bathrooms, so that we didn't want the bigger cats to mess with her and mess with her eye. Plus we didn't want the infection to spread to the other cats. But Daryl would sit outside the room when the door was closed, and like he wants to like check on her, and he wants to make sure she's okay, and he is my best boy. He's an asshole, but he's great.
I'm definitely a cat person because I mean, like you said, the puppies, the doggies, those are great. They're great. They're loyal, but they will get all up in your face. Whereas a cat is just like, and really
feed me, pet me for a little bit, maybe, and then just leave me alone.
Yeah, I'll be over in the window, looking out the window at the birds, and I'll be making that. That's my favorite. When they see a bird outside, they'll be just chill as fuck, and then all of a sudden it's like.
There was a couple summers ago where we had a bird. We have a big bay window on the front of our house. Here she goes onto my shoulder. But there was a bird that for no, Jack, sister, I don't want you to fall off of there.
Jackson,
but there was a bird.
I like that.
She is. She's very feisty. Like the vet even said today, she's very sassy, and I'm like, yes, I know, thank you.
Wonder where she gets that from, eh?
Hey, I didn't birth her, okay? Like it's not like I genetically passed on my sass.
She got that through osmosis, okay? You just deal with it, all right? It's fine. It's a compliment. We'll move on. I'm sorry.
But anyways, this bird kept coming to our window every day. We named him Phil, and our cats go crazy. They would go nuts, and it was the most entertaining thing to watch because they would all like run over to the window and like doing that whole where they're like trying to figure out how to get to the bird, and Phil would just sit there and like bounce along the windowsill and drive him crazy, and it was fun.
Yeah,
it was a good time.
That whole thing, because it's like cats to me are like nature's comedians, right? They do deadpan very well, and they do physical comedy extremely well. Dogs are just all physical comedy. You know what I mean? They're just like, they're just going all over the place. Where a cat will be like sitting there just chilling, kind of look at you. You ever notice like if a cat likes you, and the cat will say, what's up with their eyes? You go, hey, kitty. And that cat will go, yeah, it's all good. Mm-hmm. And then they'll look out the window and go, and it's just like in an instant like that. And you're like, fuck, man, this is like free entertainment. Well, I feed them, but okay, you know what I mean. So, and my cats were the same way. They were just, and they would do it's great. I always tell people, if you're going to have a cat, if you can, get two cats, because they do need the company. You know what I mean?
They do.
And when I first moved to New York, my roommate had a couple cats, and we had hardwood floors. And so, in the middle of the night, you would hear the little kitty galloping, and my girl would stay over, and it would be funny because she's kind of a light sleeper. Me, I'm just like, I'll be out, but I would hear that. I would hear the and I would hear her just going. So it's like, oh yeah, the kid. It's the cats. It's the kitties that are just going crazy, and they'll just like do this ninja shit all over the place, and then the next thing you know, they're just assed out on the couch. Do you ever have the cat that would sit like a human, like would sit with like his back against the couch, and it's just like,
I does that.
That's when you know that cat is
fat cat.
They are super comfortable. Yeah, that's when you know they're like chill as fuck. If they're doing that, it's like, okay, because apparently, like if they expose their belly or something like that, that means they have trust for you or something. Because usually a cat will not do that if they don't. So, but I mean, he's just sitting there, or my cats was just like, it looked like alcoholics were just missing a beer bottle and a remote in the other paw. That was the setting that it looked like. So.
Yeah, I need to set that up next time my cat does that. I need to like get him a beer. And
if you do that,
take a picture.
Listen, and even if you just get them in the pose, we'll put the remote and the beer in their hands.
I have pictures. Of him in that. I'll send them to you because he does it all the time. And he has this. He's a huge cat. Like he's a giant fat cat.
That's another grift idea for you. We'll make those cat shirts. It's raining money here at Extra Bulla. You're welcome. All right.
Yeah, I like this. Somebody called me a grifter for having a GoFundMe for Jack's surgery. Like,
really? Well, I did see that Mr. T gold chain around Jack's neck, so I I'm like, hey,
listen,
what's going on
Jack
here?
is dripping in ice. Jack has got like
Deuces.
all the finest cat toys and
hell yeah. You ain't got that bling. You ain't got a thing, baby. Hey, let me acknowledge the chat here. I've been kind of ignoring these guys a little bit. Some of the David Summers is here with us, or at least he was. The Combo Couch. Hey, fam.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know which Combo Couch member it is, if it's Feed, Johnny, or Pasta, but hi, fams. Or maybe it's all of them. Who knows?
It could be. They could be all three of them tippy typing on the keyboard in unison because they are a family.
Yes.
I mean, my family never did that. I'm just saying, some families are different. In that respect. So thanks, guys. We got 6 people watching right now. Steve Wolfbrandt, he's one of them too. Thanks, Steve, for showing up. So yeah, I don't know. I it's weird. You could talk about Julian Assange all night. I could talk about cats all night.
I could. I just told you, cats on the ground. I could do that too because I have so many. I'm like, I could bring out a cat a week, and we could introduce you guys to them, and you could learn about them and their personalities because they all have their own personalities, and they're all crazy. I just took Jack's cup off though, and she's so happy about it. Look, she's so happy.
Oh, let me get her up
she's
there.
So happy.
Oh, sweetie, hey, your baby kitty. Yes, you are. You sweet baby.
She hates
kitty.
the cup. But they don't like the little cones. They don't have them small enough for her, so they had to. It's like literally one of those old cups, like drinking cups from school or whatever, that they had to cut and fashion into a little cone.
Yeah, I mean that was a pretty good improvisation there. So I mean, I can understand it too. So because they're gonna want to like scratch, it's gonna start itching, and then they're gonna want to start doing that thing. So. Yeah, they said I can take it off when she eats, and then like if I'm like right there with her supervising so that I can make sure she doesn't like try to claw at her stitches, then she can have it off. So I'll try to give her like plenty of breaks with it off because I'm sure that's really, really annoying. Like as soon as I took it off, you could tell she was like, Right. Yeah, that's how I am whenever I wear a cock ring. I mean, that was not meant for this show. That was a list of questions I had for another show. Sorry about that. Going ahead in the future. It's like taking off your bra, ladies. You'll get that. Ladies will get that. It's like taking off your bra. It's the best feeling in the whole world. I'm starting to get man boobs, and I may need a trainer here pretty soon, and then I'll get to complain about that too. I could go, at the end of the day, and I'll pull it off through the it seriously is the best. It's the best. It's so nice. My girl says she complains about some bras because she says she ends up with Picasso boob. Like one boob will be up here and then one will be down here. Yeah. And I always try to picture that in my head, Picasso boob. like her like naked with the boob eyes, but then there's like a giant mouth for the belly button, and then she doesn't talk to me for a few days after that. So that could be a fun body painting experience. Right. We have they do the mermaid parade every like spring or summer, I think, down at Coney Island. And it's great. It's just like a Mardi Gras parade, and it's just everybody dressing up in like mermaid themed stuff, and it's just a good time, and they have a ball like at the end of it, like some organization. That does sound like fun. It is. I don't know if they still do that or not, but we used to go all the time just to go see what they, and it was just amazing, like some of the costumes and stuff that they wear. But I don't know, since the Woogie Boogie, I don't know if they're still doing that or not. They may, I don't know if they did that this year. I know they didn't do it last year, but they may try and bring that kind of stuff back. So, yeah. So, but if I was to paint up myself, I would probably paint up the Picasso boobs, and then I would go off somewhere and play with them for about 10 minutes till I got bored. So, because that's what guys do. It's like, if I had boobs, what would you do? Like, yeah, I'm not going anywhere, jerk. You guys have fun. You
would be bored after like 10 minutes. They're not that exciting. Yeah. I've had them my whole life. They're not that exciting.
I know. I like stress balls, though. I'm a big fan of like the
Fair.
like that. But I wouldn't do that to mine because that would probably hurt. Because I don't know like the inner workings. I know we didn't. I had no idea we were going to start talking about weird breast sizes
boobs.
On this show. This is probably why I don't have many women on here, because I'm kind of stupid and I go into like, things my girlfriend
I'm not
says.
one of those women who gets like offended by, like, I talk about this stuff all the time too. So you're fine. It's fine. You don't have to worry about me like being offended by this stuff.
What I love about you is that you call women chicks. And
and dudes. I call women dudes.
And dudes, right? See,
yeah.
I'm always like my lady, she's close to my age, and so she's not really offended by anything. I mean, we watched a Serbian film together, and she was not fazed by that. She was just kind of like, that was different. Have you ever seen that movie?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Just Google it afterwards. Don't ever watch that movie. It's horrible. It's like,
okay.
It's very extremely disturbing, but it's a nice litmus test to see how much a person can take of disturbing fictional type stuff like that. So she passed with flying colors. We're at the end of it just going, that was
it takes a lot to offend me. Like it really does take a lot to offend me. I'm generally somebody who can laugh off most anything. You know what I'm saying? Like it
right.
Like and I'm not like, I don't do, like, I get the whole trying to be PC, and I'm not out here trying to like hurt anybody's feelings or whatever intentionally. And if there's a woman who doesn't enjoy being called dude and they say, hey, could you stop calling me dude? I would absolutely try my best to, refrain from doing so. But I'm from the Midwest. We call everybody dude. It's not meant to be offensive. It's people. I just think that there's too many people like searching for reasons to be pissed off. And I just don't care. Like I'm more worried about, the government screwing everybody over and murdering us all slowly than I am about somebody calling me a chick or, that shit doesn't bother me. So,
you and your big picture, you should be worried about who you call dude, lady. All right. Jesus, priorities. Okay. Hey, Gamer for Life is here. Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Hey.
It's all right, brother. You're never late. As long as you're here,
Sorry, I'm late.
You're fine. We're good.
Wizards are never late. A wizard is never late. He arrives precisely when he means to.
That totally threw me off track about the boob thing. But no, you know what I call no. That was totally my fault. I had, when you said bra, that was the first thing I thought. I was like, oh my God, my girl was talking about the Picasso boobs, and I always thought it was just funny, but I didn't know it was like kind of an ordeal. She goes, yeah, it's like this thing goes up here and you got to do this, and it's like a whole production. Yeah. I'm like, oh, you poor thing. I just put on a shirt and that's it. So
being a chick sucks sometimes, fam.
Yeah,
being a chick sucks.
She's told me some things about some of the plumbing issues, and I got much love for you ladies that have to go through all that business, and because I grew up with two sisters, and I kind of figured out a few things that were thrown in the trash can. I was like, oh, what's that?
Yeah.
And then later, okay, that's what that is. But so I'm very sensitive when it comes to I guess I'm a mama's boy. All right. My mom was like 5 foot. She was like teeny tiny, but she was like my crazy partner in crime. You know, her and I have very different, we were kind of built different than the rest of the family, and I think we understood each other well enough. So like, if anything, anybody ever went after mom, it was like, nah, motherfucker, you got to come through man boobs first. You got to get through these Picasso boobs first before you get to the old lady. All right, that's how we roll.
That's funny.
So now, so Jack is Jack in the clear now? She got the surgery.
Oh, Jack just sneezed on me.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. Thanks, Jack. Thanks for that.
You think Jack's catching your cold?
No. I'm so sick of this cold, though. But no, Jack is not in the clear. You know, there is a thing called fading kitten syndrome, which is like just generally a thing for kittens when they're first born. You know, there's a point where they can just kind of stop thriving. They can just stop growing, and I think that's what happened to the one that we lost. But so that can also happen in circumstances of like a trauma or something like that. So obviously, you know, having to have surgery at 5 weeks old definitely qualifies her for being at risk for that. So we have to keep a really close eye on her for the next couple of weeks at least. So she goes back in 2 weeks to get the stitches removed. So we just have to keep an eye and make sure she's eating, drinking, going to the bathroom, all of that stuff. And just keep a really close eye on her as she's healing, and just try to, like I said, keep her from fucking with the stitches, keep it from getting infected, all of that good stuff. So she's not in the clear yet, but the surgery did go really, really well. They were really pleased with how she managed that, how she handled that. She came out of the anesthesia very well. She was almost immediately like kind of playful and stuff. So right now she's eating my hand. So.
Well, you were talking with your hand, and like you were doing this, and then she was just going, hey, give me that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Give me that.
She likes to chew on my hands and my fingers, and then she also likes to eat my hair. So like I said, she likes to sit on my shoulder or lay on my neck, and then she'll eat my hair, and she's a little nuts. But yeah, she's a good kitty. So hopefully she pulls out of it, and she can heal properly and all that good stuff. They did a great job on the surgery. I know it's hard to see on camera, but they did a great job on the surgery. They said that right now it's swollen, but there's a chance that like as it heals, it could kind of like concave, because there's obviously no eyeball there. They did put like a skin thing, like an artificial skin under there. Sorry, this is probably gross for people. But yeah, hopefully she'll pull through it. We just got to keep a close eye on her for the next couple of weeks.
I think when we talked about Picasso boobs, that was pretty much like anything goes at this point after that. So
yeah, if you can handle our Picasso boobs conversation, you can handle our concave eye socket conversation.
Weird anatomy here on Extra Bulla. If you have misformed breasts or if you're missing an eye, don't worry, we are your family.
Yes.
I have to watch those kitten videos. As much as I love watching your shows and like Convo and Steve and all those guys, getting that information is very important, but it's depressing as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, because sometimes it's great news, but it seems like more often than not, it's not good news. But it's news that you need, right? So I often, my lady says, how can you watch all that stuff? I mean, doesn't that just drive you? She's more local, political. She's born and raised here in New York, so she kind of keeps an eye on the local situation. Like, she's a big advocate for affordable housing here in New York, that sort of thing. She's from Chinese descent, and so she's always watching out for not just Chinese folks here in the city, but also all the Asian folks that are getting sometimes attacked, and so she advocates for them on the local level. But she doesn't really I kind of have to fill her in from what I get from you guys about the national and world stuff. So, and when I tell her that stuff, she's like, well, how do you deal with that? Well, this sounds like a lot of heavy stuff. So I said, well, I got to watch puppy and kitten videos. In fact, I have here like, I knew I wasn't going to need it tonight, but I'm just doing this for an example. Like, if I was ever in a stressed out conversation with somebody on this show, I'd just go to this.
Oh.
See? The one in the middle that's upside down, that's the ringleader. That motherfucker is running that whole goddamn show, right? So anyway.
Oh, I love them. I want them.
Look at it. It's just like, oh my God. Who does that? What the shit? Look at it. You know what? The little noses and the little mouths. It's like a little bitty.
They're little beans.
The beans on the feet. Feet beans. Ah! Okay. That's too much cute overload.
Seriously, though.
Or I may have had too much coffee. Woo.
Or both. That is a lot of cuteness. That is a cuteness overload. That's like military grade cuteness right there.
I have to do it because sometimes, like, I'll just be reading shit or watching shit and I just go, oh, fuck, I need some fucking kittens. And then I'll put on the kittens or puppies. And it helps. It's just kind of like, okay, I can deal with this. I'm still depressed, but at least I got a little the edge off.
I totally get it. Because we've been talking about this recently on the vigils. The vigils are a lot, yo. That's a lot of heavy stuff to talk about. I mean, we're twice a week, we're talking about the torture of journalists, the prosecution and persecution of whistleblowers, war crimes, special administrative measures, political prisoners, all kinds of stuff. And that's a lot. First of all, it's a lot that I have to research and read and know. And I don't want to have to do all of those things. And so you have to, like, a cat video is necessary every once in a while to just, or like occasionally we'll do a vigil where we just have like friends on, and it's just like, we have important things that we should be talking about, but we're just like, fuck it. And we'll just let loose and we'll just have some fun. Cause every once in a while you have to, or you're going to lose your mind, because it's heavy. It's a lot of heavy stuff.
Well, that was kind of the reasoning that was put into doing this show. I know, I talked about it before. I said, well, it's one thing to find a niche, but I think it's like I told Fee last week. This is like, your shows are like, that's the workplace, right? It's all mostly serious business, because you have to be serious if you want people to take what you're saying seriously, right? So. Right. This show is like going to the bar after work, right? You see some of your coworkers.
That's why I have bitch, Warren.
And that's what
exactly
you understand.
Why I have bitch. Yes.
See, that's
because I can't do that. I can't just let loose on facts or on the vigils. I can't just like, you know what I mean? Because I'm talking to really respectable people who are talking about really serious things. And so I can't I could, but it's not really the place for it, for me to like go off on a rant or on a tangent or whatever when I'm talking to Miko Peled about Palestine and Israel. So, but on bitch, I can just go off and I can be petty and I can just like, complain and whine, and I can have people on who need to complain and whine, and we can complain and whine together, and it's more fun to do with friends. So that's exactly why I started bitch. And I remember when I started bitch too, my co-host for Facts, Jesse, was like, does this mean that you're leaving Facts? And I'm like, no, dude, I just need a place to like go off. Like, that's all. This has nothing to do with me leaving. I really need, and it started as a joke. It actually started a long time ago because everybody, like the MCSE crew, which is like Steve, Nico, Pasta and Fee and Johnny, like the whole network. They used to joke that I'm like the queen of making friends. Sarcastically, because a lot of people don't like me. And so then we realized that it's because I don't have favorites. And so I'm not willing to play like your team ball with your politics. And so then it started where we were going to have me do a segment on Steve's show that was called Fuck Your Faves, because I don't have a favorite. And so I will crucify your favorite. I will eviscerate your favorite because I don't like any of them. And so it started with that. And then it kind of, over time, it like festered in my head, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And so I did it. And it really it was like 36 hours where like I made a joke about it on Twitter. And then Sleepy Josh, who's my tech ninja, was like, well, hey, I could do this on Wednesdays. And then it all just like stars aligned. Everything came together, and it was like, boom, I have a weekly show like within 36 hours. It was crazy.
And it's great too. I mean, I caught the one with you and Fee last week.
Oh, I love having Fee.
Oh, and you had Daryl Black in the Empire.
Yes,
before
that
her.
was fun.
That was a great. I mean, all the shows that you do like for Bitch are great. I just like those in particular for some reason.
I like having people that you wouldn't expect either. Like Danny Haiphong came on, and he's like a serious journalist, and so being able to like have him on and get him out of his comfort zone and like just let him complain and like just go off, like that's fun. Like I think it's a lot of fun to get people in situations that you don't ordinarily find them in or whatever. And like I'm gonna have Pasta on next week,
nice.
And so. I had Andrew on last night with Kendra. They're Action for Assange people, and Andrew.
Right. That was a good show.
Very nice. Yeah, Andrew's very nice, and Pasta's very nice, and they had both asked before if they could be on Bitch, and I'm like, I think you guys are too nice. So Andrew tried to be mean last night. He was still pretty nice, but we're gonna see if Pasta can be mean next week because Pasta's very nice.
Now, when I've watched like some of the protest march videos, I've seen Andrew.
No. Okay.
Is so. Well,
you give Andrew a megaphone, whole different person.
That's what I was gonna say, because like when he's on the live streams, like just chilling at his house or whatever, he's very nice, he's very friendly, I'm not he's not doing the arm thing, but he's just very nice.
No, but I know
when
what you mean.
doing the protest, he's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, who the fuck is? And I look, I'm like, oh shit, that's Andrew. Fuck!
It's Jekyll and Hyde, dude. I'm telling you, and I'm not even kidding you when I say this. There is maybe Glory Jones, but it's close. But there is nobody better with a megaphone than Andrew fucking Smith. He is so good with a megaphone. He's amazing. Like, I'm not great at, I'm not a fan of public speaking. I don't like doing public speaking. I don't like doing megaphone stuff. I don't even really like to do shows. I kind of blank out. I don't even right now. I forget that I'm on a show and it's like we're just hanging out. We're just talking. That's the only way I can get through it. But Andrew is just so good with a damn megaphone. He's so good. Pasta is too. Pasta's really great at that too.
I've heard Pasta on there too, and Glory. Glory's very good too. I mean, yeah, it was just like I thought it was just a totally different person, and I looked and I was like, wait, that's Andrew.
That's the thing, though, because Pasta, like you expect it from Pasta. Pasta's the same on a megaphone as he is on Convo Couch or whatever. Glory's the same. Like Glory's loud in person. She's, you know what I mean? Like she just is who she is. But Andrew is kind of quiet and shy, and he's super nice, like just in person or on like a live stream. But then you get him at a protest, and it is legitimately a completely different human being. He's a completely different human being. It's so funny.
Well, he's very inspiring too, because I mean, it's not like he's fucking around on that thing. You can tell the passion is in his voice when he's doing that shit, and it's like, yeah, you need people in those marches to be that, to keep that energy going, because I can imagine, like I've been to a few protests, and it's like things kind of tend to wind down a little bit, so you need somebody to kind of pep things up again.
I emceed the March for Medicare for All protests in Columbus, Ohio, and I used him as like an energy boost, like because we had different speakers. And so there would be a speaker for like 5 minutes or whatever who would just be talking about like healthcare statistics or Medicare statistics or whatever. And you kind of like you lose some energy, you lose some momentum or whatever. And so I'd be like, here, Andrew, give him the megaphone. And for like 5 minutes, he goes up there and yells and everybody's fired back up. And he's great at that. There's seriously nobody better. I like if there's anybody like side by side on the streets that I want to be with, it's Andrew Smith for sure.
Well, yeah, he's definitely he tempers himself on those on the live streams. That's for sure. Because I guess it wouldn't really make any sense to be like you're not yelling on a live stream. You're trying to
I do
get your point.
I do.
You don't yell. You're very energetic. You to me anyway. I just get the fact that you're just very energetic, and the fact that you have that much energy and passion about what you are talking about says to me, even if I didn't know you at all, that would say to me like, this is really important, because it seems like she doesn't seem like the kind of person that bring noise to some bullshit. You know what I mean? If you're bringing that noise to something, it's got to be very important. And of course, you know, with Assange and all the protests you guys were doing, like the March for Medicare for All, for Assange, and very important things. And you have to be vocal and you have to be energetic about it. Because like I said, it's like we were talking about on these shows, how you have to be serious most of the time if you want people to take you serious. You also have to bring that energy to that message to drive home that point. Like, look, this is not only important, this is fucking important. And you need to learn this shit. Because
a lot of people don't like my approach. A lot of people think that I'm too mean and that I need to be nicer to people like AOC or Bernie Sanders if I want them to speak out or whatever. And I don't really give a shit. If you want to do that, you go do that. I'm going to do me. That's not me. So I tell people all the time, it doesn't matter if you like me or not. You can still understand that I'm right. That this is an important thing. So it doesn't matter if you like me. People I think a lot of people on Twitter who don't like me refrain from getting involved in the Assange stuff because I'm involved in it. And it's so infantile. Like, put your personal bullshit aside. I'm 100% willing to work with people who have been stalking me on Twitter, people who have been smearing me on Twitter. If you want to jump on board the Assange train and help us out, I'm 100% willing to work with you. I will show up to events with you. I will stand side by side with you and chant free Assange 100%, because it's not about me. But for a lot of people, it's like it's personality above the politics. And I hate that.
Well, yeah, I mean, and if you're putting personality above the topics and the issues, then you're not serious about it. You're just more worried about how the message is being conveyed, which is, I mean, there's an importance to that.
And I'm not for everybody. I get that. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I think this was during, I discovered you and Fiorella at the same time on Twitter. And I think this was around the time before Bernie announced he was going to run again, right? So I was still, at the time, you know, Camp Bernie. You know, I'm thinking he's our only hope at this point.
You probably didn't like me much then.
I couldn't stand you and Fee. I was like, these bitches, the fuck they talking about my Bernie like that? But I started watching your shows. I started reading your tweets more. It was kind of hate watching and reading at first, but then it just started sinking in like, okay. Because I know people, I have friends who are like that, who are just like very matter of fact when it comes to important things. They don't, you know, it would be like they like you think people treat you like, oh, they're too mean or whatever. It's like, no, sometimes you need those mean people, because the mean people, more often than not, when they're being mean to the right people, they're speaking truth to power. And that doesn't come off well to people who are in the cults. You know, like I said, I was in the Bernie cult for a little while. Thank God I'm out of it. But when you're in that cult and you hear that shit, you do not like it. Even if it's the truth, you don't fucking like it. But after a while, if you have some common sense, that shit starts sinking in, and then you're like, oh, I see why now. I see why they're like this. I see, yes, we shouldn't be nice to these people. These people are assholes. They are not doing what we sent them to Washington to do. Why the fuck are we being nice to these people when they're not doing what they say what they're going to do? So now I'm in the camp of like, it's all direct action now. I think electoral politics is just, it's a losing.
There's a potential at a local level to maybe, and it really just depends on where you live and how, because where I live, it's kind of corrupt at the local level too. But I think that there are some people who, if you go and vote for your school board, or if you run for your school board, you could potentially make a difference. But I think that we need to just stop with the electoral politics bullshit.
Right.
It is not getting us anywhere. In fact, it's taking us backwards. We need mutual aid, and lots of direct action. Period. End of story. That's just my personal opinion. Don't come for me, or come for me. I don't care. Yeah, you're not the first person who has said that they used to hate me, and now they.
Well, I didn't hate you, but I just did not like what you were saying. I try not to hate anybody, but I was very in the not liking what you were saying part. But now I totally understand.
You're not the first person who is. I've had people like slide into my DMs and be like, "Hey, I blocked you a long time ago because you were talking shit about Bernie, and now I get it, and I'm really sorry." And I'm like, and listen, I don't hold grudges. I do not hold grudges. I 100% understand. Like, I really do. People are desperate desperate for something or someone to believe in. So I get it. I really, and I'm not, again, like I said, I'm willing to work with people. Like if you don't like me, if you hated me, if you smeared me on Twitter, I don't care. If you are willing to show up at an event and work, side by side with me on a direct action for a cause that we both believe in, I'm not going to hold a personal grudge. I'm not going to. I'm not going to, like bygones. You know what I'm saying? Like if you used to hate me, if you had me blocked because I talk shit about AOC or because I talk shit about Bernie Sanders or whatever, that's okay. That's fine. I really do not care. To me, it's more important to get things done.
Well, and you're consistent too. It's not like you flip-flopped on anything too. You've been very consistent in your messaging and putting out how important it is for free speech and for direct action. And I mean, I think there are a lot of people out there like me who are probably right now thinking, oh, well, she's just bitter and she's just very, obstinate and
contrarian,
but
a nihilist.
But you
whatever.
see, like some of these folks I've noticed on Twitter recently, like some of these folks are starting to come around. Not a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're starting to kind of trickle in a little bit like, I think maybe we got kind of sold a bill of goods here with Bernie, especially when Bernie started talking down to people. And it was just like he had totally sold out to the Biden plan. And that's, I mean.
And now the squad is out there talking about Build Back Better and we got to pass the president's agenda and we got to fund the Iron Dome and we got to, come on, y'all. I just, to the people who are still standing the squad or Bernie or any politician at this point, what is wrong with you? First of all, the celebrity culture that we've created around politicians we talked about this last night on Bitch. Celebritizing politics was a really bad idea. Politicians should not be worshipped, I call them celebriticians. They're not even politicians anymore. They're brands. AOC is a brand. Anytime that's not a good idea. That's really not politicians should be scrutinized daily, religiously. They should be constantly getting a side eye from us. Every move they make, every speech they give, every vote they take, everything should be scrutinized. We should be critical of them. We should hold them extremely accountable all the time. And if you're like some fangirl who's got like an AOC poster on your wall, you're not going to do that. It's become this really ridiculous, tiger bee sort of mentality. And it's really, really dangerous. And that's exactly how they've managed to get us to the point where not only are we voting against our own interests, we are now thinking against our own interests. And we are willing to make excuses and justifications for the most AOC voted president on a vote that she didn't even, it didn't even matter. It was going to pass anyway. And she voted to fund apartheid. Really? But there are people who are making excuses for her doing that. And I just do not understand how many times, what is it going to take? Where is your line in the sand? I mean, is there a line in the sand? Is there anything that they could do that would make you wake up to their bullshit? Because at this point, there are some people who I don't think that there is. I think that they would be willing to justify and excuse literally anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's that cult mentality. I mean, we throw that word around a lot, but in that case, it's definitely true. It is like a cult. It's like you can't talk common sense with if you try to tell them. It's like that Stockholm syndrome. It's just like, no, I have to stick with this person because there's no one else, and I can't be detached from that because I'll have nothing to be attached to. Like when I was a kid, all the Republicans, they idolized Reagan, right? Could stand Reagan. My dad was a Jimmy Carter guy because they were both Navy, and Jimmy Carter helped get my dad his VA benefits that Ford and Nixon and all these other fuckers were. Anyway, so he was that's how I got on the Democratic side, because I was like, well, Dad likes Jimmy Carter. I like Jimmy Carter too. And I didn't even know about Reagan and all the crazy, illegal shit that he was doing with Iran-Contra and then the Alzheimer's later. But there were people who stand Reagan, but it was more of he was the apple pie, the bald eagle. He was more of like the national symbol. Whereas today you have in the post American Idol world, where you have the internet, you have all this access to information and biographies of people, and like seeing you could just turn on the computer or your phone or whatever, and you can see AOC in the dress at the Met thing, or you can see AOC crying on the floor of the House after that vote. I still don't understand the crying thing. It just seems like that's part of the brand.
Drama queen.
It's the drama queen is part of the brand. The drama is she's 100%. Very emotional. She's passionate. She really cares about us. She don't care about.
She doesn't care about Palestinians. Come on, that's not the first time that she has turned her back on Palestinians. Immediately after getting elected, she started taking down the stuff off her website about Palestine. She has said she wanted to work with Israel on technology for the Green New Deal, which is a garbage plan anyway. She did the whole interview with Margaret Hoover where she was very pointedly asked about Israel Palestine, and she like threw her hands up as like, I'm not an expert in that. That bitch has a degree in international relations from Boston University, and I somehow know more about Palestine and Israel than she does? Are you kidding me? Like, and people will buy into this, and that's what you just said, that like we have the internet, we have access to like all of the information in the whole wide world, and yet these people who stand these politicians don't even know like the basics of their record. One of her first votes was to fund and expand NATO. That should have been a ginormous red flag. I don't know why that was even accepted, but it's a pattern of behavior. It's not like a one-off. This is a pattern of behavior. She is an imperialist. Bernie Sanders is an imperialist. They are not your friends. They do not give a shit. Bernie Sanders has long been a huge fan of the F-35, which has been a giant money pit. We could go on and on about all of his votes, and he loves to brag about the fact that he voted against the Iraq War. Well, yeah, under Bush he did, but he voted for regime change twice under Bill Clinton in Iraq. But nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to talk about that. And he didn't even vote against the Iraq War for the reasons that he likes to pretend that he voted against the Iraq War for. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people, you don't even know. All you know is like the image that and Bernie Sanders was very good at this. He created this mythology around himself. And it's they're very good at that. They're very good at branding themselves and like carefully crafting an image. And then people don't bother to look into their actual voting records or the things that they say or the things that they go back on or whatever. It's just it's the celebrity like celebritizing of a politician. And then it's also a lot of the team mentality too. Oh, well, they're Team Democrat. So if I'm a Democrat, then everything that they do is great and everything that Team Red does is horrible. And it's really dangerous.
Yeah, it's the whole with social media too. It's the whole packaging of branding too. So it's like not only do you have your AOC who's doing all these things that make up her brand. She also has this base of social media that will and the mainstream media too, if she's playing ball the right way. Sometimes for dramatic purposes, they'll say, oh, look at her, she's being like they used to call John McCain a maverick. He's a maverick. It's like, nah, he's playing a role. He was actually the first AOC, if you want to think about it, because he was always playing both angles. He would play the Republican angles for like, okay, this is safe to do here. Oh, but then I could do this over here, and this gives me more of that street cred, maverick street cred thing. And same shit with her. She does the same thing. She'll pull this little shit like, hey, look, we're gonna do this protest on the steps with Cori Bush.
Yeah.
Protest. Fundraiser. PR.
Yes.
Yeah.
45 minutes after they announced the eviction moratorium expansion, Cori Bush sent me a text message asking for money. 45 minutes.
Didn't even wait for the body to get cold. It just like boom, boom, boom. And then a lot of us put that out there. Remember, we tweeted that out. So look what these bitches are doing. And you're fed Clippersteins and all these like, oh no, they're not. No, this wasn't a fundraiser. It's like, bitch, what? This is crystal clear. You can see, and like you said, 45 minutes. after and then the cool whip on the shit Sunday was there were still protesters there right after she left, but then they had to go because they weren't guests, right? I'm like,
they had to go across the street.
They had to go across the street, and who has guests at I've never heard that before. Guests at a protest? I mean, I don't know.
First
maybe
of all, a protest should never be led by a politician. Protest should be led by the people impacted by the cause that they're protesting against. You should never have a protest led by a politician or anybody with any semblance of power. They shouldn't have centered themselves in any way, shape, form, or fashion. If you want to show up and you want to facilitate the environment where that protest can take place, great. But you need to not center yourself. You need to. They didn't have a single homeless person come to speak. They didn't have a single person who was dealing with facing eviction come to speak. They didn't have any of that. It was about them. And that should have been a huge red flag about what their intentions really were and why they were even there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Like the fact that my friend who lives in DC, Morgan Arjakina, she's a fantastic journalist. She focuses a lot on foreign policy. She writes for Sputnik a lot. But she earlier in the day before the protest took place, she sent me a picture of a homeless encampment that got razed or however you say that, right across the street from the Capitol. Like a homeless encampment. Like that's what the protest was about, right? But they didn't even talk about that. They didn't get any of those people to come speak at their protests. They didn't have any of that shit. It was a bunch of college kids and interns sitting on the Capitol steps pretending like they were doing something. It was gross.
Yeah, it's all a dog and pony show at this point, and the stands eat it up, and there's enough of them there that will get on social media and try and shut out the truth tellers. They're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just being bitter. You just don't, you want everything right now and all this stuff. It's like, well, bitch, you wanted everything right now too in the beginning. What happened?
I hate that so much.
The sense of urgency is gone.
So much. You're goddamn right. I want it now. Are you kidding me?
We wanted it yesterday.
Absolutely write it now. Like, yes, I'm angry. Like people get, oh, you're so angry. You're just all you do is yell. Yes, I'm.
Why aren't
angry.
you
Why
angry?
Are you not?
Why are you not angry?
Why are you not yelling? I'm furious. I am rage filled at the nonsense that's going on. We can't even get $15 an hour during a pandemic and a economic crisis. And $15 an hour is an insult. We should be laughing in their faces over $15 an hour. Are you joking me? We can't get health care in the middle of a global health crisis. We can't even get a floor vote. We can't even get progressives to pretend to fight for a floor vote on Medicare for all in the middle of a global health crisis. I mean, it is a joke what we are dealing with right now. And people are angry at me for being mad. Yes, I'm angry. I'm angry and I'm confused why you're not angry too. And I'm confused as to why you're making excuses for people who have power. And the people who we were just talking about this on Bitch last night. There are people who spend their time stalking me on Twitter and commenting on all of my tweets about how I'm some grifter or whatever. And you could be focusing your energy on people who have actual power, who could actually do something about these things. Like the fact that you're focused on some mom in Ohio, some chick in Ohio who has absolutely no money, no power, no influence, no nothing. Like I'm just some loudmouth bitch from Ohio. And you're that's who you're going to focus your energy on. You need to get yourself a life, homie. Like you need to figure out what's wrong with you, that's what you're doing and how you're spending your time. Like go, even if it's not AOC or Bernie or whatever, like people get mad because I don't focus enough time on Republicans. Well, if you don't think I focus enough time on Republicans, then go focus your time on Republicans. Stop telling me what to do and then go do the thing that you think I'm not doing enough of. If you think I talk about Julian Assange too much and I'm ignoring another issue that matters to you, then you go focus on that issue. Stop focusing on me. It's dumb.
Well, it's because you are a truth teller. You and others. I mean, you have a decent following and people listen to you. I mean, I'm one of those people. And so these groups, these stands of these cults, they hear you and they're like, oh, we can't have that. That's like, and that either because you are telling the truth and you're just gonna break the whole facade of what their idol is about, or they are in so much denial that they actually think that you're not telling the truth, that you're actually legitimately trying to railroad these decent, great people that we have in all. You know what I mean? It's like this whole psychological mind fuck, and the people that like in the mainstream media and the power brokers in social media and whatnot, or the people that do have like these huge followings and have a tendency to, you know, get their people in line behind them, you know, they have their own agendas too, you know, like this Brooklyn Dad Defiant guy or whatever, you know, he's probably just some paid op, just like a lot of these other big accounts. Does he really?
He follows me. Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. And Bernie Sanders' son follows me on Twitter, which is weird. Do you like? I trash your dad on a regular basis. His Jane Sanders has me blocked, but his son follows me, which is weird.
Nice.
Well,
maybe you might be. You might have got, what is his name? Levi? Is that his son's name? Yeah, you might have gotten through to Levi. Maybe Levi's like, you know, my dad, he's probably full of shit. You know, that Misty girl. Yeah. She's probably
either that or he's just keeping an eye on, you know, keep your enemies close, your friends close, enemies closer. Maybe he's just keeping an eye on me. I don't know.
You know,
but Warren Gunnels follows me too. Warren Gunnels has followed me for years, which surprised. Maybe they have me muted so they just don't see the things that I say anymore. I don't know.
Warren's just he always just seems like
I love Warren.
Yeah, he never dips his toe into the muck. You know what I mean? He's always kind of above the fray and just kind of says, okay, here's what's going on.
Warren is actually, he's the reason why I even knew who Bernie Sanders was, because the first time I ever heard of Bernie Sanders was in 2003 when he was giving Alan Greenspan that amazing dressing down, which if you've never seen that video, I am not a fan of Bernie Sanders, but it's an amazing video of him like just grilling Alan Greenspan. But during that video, Warren is sitting behind Bernie and he's like giggling because like it's funny. It's amazing. And so like I was at my grandparents' house that day and my grandparents had it on TV and I'm like hearing this guy, and this is 2003, so I'm like what? I don't know, like 21 maybe. So I'm not like super into politics, but you know, whatever. But then I'm hearing this guy who's like going off on Alan Greenspan and I'm like, who is this guy? And then I see the guy behind him giggling and I'm like, okay, that guy is funny. And so then I like did some research to find out who Bernie Sanders was because Warren Gunnels caught my attention. And that's how I knew who Bernie Sanders was.
Yeah, I really can't say anything bad about Warren Gunnels. He
works for Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But it doesn't seem like he's out there like defending him. He's just kind of parroting what he's saying. You know what I mean? But he's not like, it's really hard to attack him because it's just like, well, yeah, he's just kind of saying what we want to hear. Because I learned about Bernie when I was a shit lib and I used to watch MSNBC when Keith Olbermann was on.
You were a shit lib? I didn't know you were a shit lib.
Oh, I was a Bill Clinton super fan back in the 90s. So, you know, that tells you how much I knew about politics. I stayed up all night watching the Bush Gore election. I was up till like 5 a.m. when they said, "Yeah, you got Florida." Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I was just like, that's what kind of opened my eyes to politics. I was like, what the fuck just happened? And you know, that whole shit went on for like months. But and then you fast forward. Everybody forgets about Bush before 9/11 and how stupid he was, how they lost the Chinese, they lost the spy plane to China, and China had the plane and the crew, and it was just very embarrassing. And he was trying to give out checks to people. I remember getting a $400 check from George Bush back then. And but then once 9/11 all came along, I was starting to watch MSNBC with Keith Olbermann when he was somewhat sane. And Bernie was on there a lot, and that's where I learned you know, because Bernie was they would talk about these health fairs that they would have. Like they had a big one in New Orleans, I remember, and they were talking about how people were coming to get checkups and stuff like that. And Bernie was like, "Yeah, we need to have he was saying the same shit back then. We got to have Medicare for all. We got to do this for the people." And I always and then I stopped watching MSNBC. And then right around the time when he ran for president the first time, and then, you know, that, and you know how all that went down. So, but yeah, it took me a while to get out of that mindset of, Clinton was like Obama, you know, he's playing saxophone on what was that?
Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio. Yeah. He was charming. You know, and I was a Southerner. He's from Arkansas. It's like, hey, man, Hey, Bill's gonna do good things for us. I had no idea what NAFTA was. I had no idea all this that he was actually really a Republican, and and then you fast forward to today.
What he did is he corporatized the Democratic Party. He transformed the Democratic Party into a second Republican Party. That's exactly what Bill Clinton did.
He did.
Bill Clinton is maybe one of the most damaging presidents we've ever had because of those things. I don't know if he's necessarily the worst president we've ever had, because I think W ranks pretty high up there. But he, the way that he was able to transform, and he did it because he was able to do it because he was Bubba, because he was this Southern guy that, everybody kind of liked. And he had sort of that, kind of doofus, you know what I'm saying? Like he seemed like very unassuming, very down home country boy. And so people trusted him. And, Barack Obama was very good at that too, for different reasons. But I think that's kind of been the method for decades now, is that Democrats use their ability to get people to trust them. And they're nice, they put on the nice guy face, and then they ram through a bunch of really terrible things. And then Republicans, it's professional wrestling. There's the heel and then there's the baby face, that's exactly what it is. And they just play off of each other. They don't hate each other. If y'all think Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell hate each other, then you are a dope.
Was that
You're a dope.
They did the little thing together. They're all in it. It's all political theater. They go to dinner together.
They go on vacations together. They go out to lunch together. They do not hate each other at all. They work off of each other. They help each other. They make sure that they have the right number of votes for the things that they want to pass or don't want to pass. It's a game. It's all a game. It's all a charade. None of that shit is real. I liken it to a soap opera starring psychopaths. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is, and it keeps everybody in the team camps. You know what I mean? It's it keeps your you have your particular politician stands, and then you have the whole party stand that is just the vote blue no matter who, or the MAGAs or whatever, whatever camp that you're in, and they make sure that those camps stay established to keep all of us at each other's
throats.
Look
at what that mentality is able to get people to accept. Joe Biden is deporting more people than Donald Trump could have ever dreamed of. But the vote blue, no matter who shit libs, are fine with it. They're not striking. There's more kids in cages now than there were under Trump. There's no tearful pictures at a fence. There's no, you know what I mean? They'll excuse it. Like I said earlier, when it's your team, it's if my team does it, then it's fine. If the other team does it, it's literally the worst thing that ever happened in the history of the world. And it's ridiculous. And then somebody tried to say it's just like sports though. And so, you can't really blame people. Yes, I can. I'm a college football fan. My fandom of Ohio State doesn't get anybody killed. It doesn't, make sure that, kids stay hungry, or that, more bombs are dropped on Syria. No, it means I get to shit talk to Michigan fans, and I get to enjoy 13 weeks every fall watching college football. That's all that is. You know what I mean? It's not the same thing. We should not have that kind of mentality when it comes to politics, but they've done a very good job. And it's been intentional. I mean, it's Noam Chomsky, for all of his faults, told us about this decades ago. They get you to hate each other. They put you into teams, into camps, and then they get you to hate each other. And then you're very easy to control. You're just very easy to control and manipulate.
Yeah, and then the hate is the key part of that too, because it's such an easy way to manipulate people's, especially emotionally. You know what I mean? If you can get somebody to hate a certain segment of society, or this thing here. Oh, okay. I think we're back. Okay. I think the gods are telling us we got to wrap this shit up because it's almost 9:00. Yeah. We've been going a good while.
Crazy.
One thing I did want to ask you before we go. So Ohio State Buckeyes, your quarterback is playing for the Chicago Bears now, right? Isn't that the same kid?
Yeah, it's Justin Fields.
Fields.
Go Justin. Yeah.
So now, what's his name? Andy Dalton, the Red Rocket. Is it Red Rocket? Red Rifle. I think Red Rocket was like a South Park thing. Sorry. I mean, that's how I like the Picasso boob thing. Anyway, so you got the Red Rocket, the Red Rider. God damn it. So he's out now, and you got Justin Fields in, and the poor kid, it's not his fault. He's a talented guy. But Chicago is just a shit team. Yeah. And poor Khalil Mack, he's like the only good thing on that defense. Everybody else sucks. So, but my guy, The only person I can claim, since I'm a Mississippi State guy, is Dak Prescott. I love Dak. Super nice kid. He plays for an evil team.
Well, then you gotta love some Zeke. You love some Zeke, right? Right? Come on.
No, I can't. My old man was a Cowboys guy. I'm a Saints guy. I gotta go. I gotta go Jameis. I gotta eat. Wait a minute. I gotta eat them W's. That's what he does. But he doesn't do that anymore because Sean Payton said, you need to cut that shit out. Because every time you do this,
like really protective, like mother bearish. When people would like say shit about him, I would get like, I don't know why. Like I'm not generally like that about players. Like I love Ohio State, but I don't care who you are. Like if you're playing like shit or whatever, I get pissed off. I'll yell at you. I'll yell at the coaches for making bad play calls, all that stuff. Like I'm that crazy fan. But for some reason with Justin Fields, I had like a really soft spot, and maybe it's just because he is like a genuinely like just super polite. Like we went and toured Ohio Stadium, which if you live in Ohio, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful stadium. All of the history there is really fascinating. But our tour guide, I took my husband for our anniversary, and it was just us. Like it was a private tour. And our tour guide was super knowledgeable. He went to Ohio State. He's written books about Ohio State, all of that stuff. He was in the band. But he said that like one of the nicest players that he's met in like the past decades that he's been working as a tour guide there for like years and years and years. He said one of the nicest and most polite players that he's ever met is Justin Fields. And so I just had like, he's just a genuinely good person, good kid, is trying to do good work. And so, yeah, I'm rooting for Justin Fields for sure. I don't watch a lot of NFL. I never really did when I was a kid, like way back in like the Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith days. I used to watch the Cowboys. But I kind of got off the NFL. It got like really just way too corporatized and all that stuff, which college football is getting to be that way too. But I just love Ohio State. I didn't always like college football. My dad was obsessed with college football, and so when he died when I was 18, and so that it was like that one of those weird things where it like made me feel close to my dad. I don't know why I'm telling this story, but like that's when I started to get involved and like really start to like hardcore fan out on college football. So, but yeah, I love my Buckeyes, even when they suck or when they're not playing so great, which they haven't been playing so great this
year. When they suck, they're suck-eyes. No, I hear you. Rough year. Well, I mean, you did win a national championship, right? You beat what's his name?
The very first national championship. Yeah.
Really? Yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, once we went to the playoffs, we were the first. Once we came out of the BCS era, we were the very first national championship team in 2014.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
That was a fun year.
And you beat what's his name from Clemson, right?
Nick Saban. Shit. Oh, yeah. Dabo. I hate him too. But yeah, that was okay. That was honestly, I'm still pissed off. I know we're trying to wrap here, but I'm like, ESPN, what are you waiting for? Why do we not have a 30 for 30 on the 2014 Ohio State season? That is like the shit, like movie script writers couldn't write that stuff. 2 weeks before our first game, our starting quarterback got hurt and is out for the season. Then our second string quarterback gets hurt in the Michigan game. And our third string quarterback has to fill in at the end of the Michigan game and then take us through the Big Ten championship, a playoff game, and the national championship game. Crushed all three teams. Our third string quarterback beat a Heisman winner in the national championship game. We had this is terrible, but we had a player commit suicide right before the Michigan game. He was missing for a while, and then they found his body, I think the day of the Michigan game or the day before maybe, or maybe it was the day after. I'd have to double check to be sure. But just like the height of drama. That season was just crazy. It was like this weird Cinderella story. We had lost our second game. And so everybody had kind of counted us out. They were doing the whole overrated, all that stuff. And everybody on ESPN, this is why we don't have a 30 for 30. They all hate Ohio State. But yeah, like such a great, like magical season. I mean, for your third string quarterback to be able to pull you out a national, like a Big Ten championship against Wisconsin, a playoff game, and then go and beat a Heisman winning quarterback in the national, and not just win, but like crush them.
Yeah, they beat the holy fuck out of them. It was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even an Ohio State fan, and I was like, fuck. That was seriously, like amazing.
No, it was magic. And it's kind of weird because when our first string quarterback got hurt, I was like, oh God, here goes our season. And then we started playing okay, and I'm like, okay, well maybe we have a chance. Then we lose our second game, and I'm like, okay, we're done. And then we like start playing really well, and then that quarterback gets hurt in the Michigan game, and I'm like, well, okay, so now we're going to go into the Big Ten championship game with our third string quarterback. And so I remember this like very distinctly. I'm sitting on my couch. We're watching this game. The game starts, and the very first play, Cardale Jones comes out, and just this dude. If you don't know who Cardale Jones is, he is like all arm. This kid can throw for miles. He is an amazing arm. And so the first play, which I mean, kudos to the coaching staff for being that trusting of a third string quarterback to let him throw on the first play of the game, but he launched a rocket of a ball down the field. Perfect throw, it was just great. And I remember jumping up and being like, Cardale freaking Jones. Like, I was so excited. My husband got me a shirt that says Cardale freaking Jones on it. Like, it's seriously one of the best. And I know I'm an Ohio State fan, so I'm obviously very biased, but one of the best seasons of sports ever. For any sport, any team, any time. It was just really one of those, like you felt like the stars aligned. It was like this very magical, against all odds kind of season. And it, like, seriously, script writers couldn't have written a better script for that. It was great. It was a great season.
I think the only thing that might equate to that from, I don't watch the pros as much anymore. I think probably I do. Mm-mm. I think I watch the Saints just because I'm curious to what Jameis Winston's going to do. But the story of what was a few years back of, it's kind of reminiscent to that, is when New England went, I think they went 18-0, right? They had the perfect season. And the Giants, I think they barely got in. My
sister's a Giants fan.
They barely got into the playoffs, right? They got in as a wild card, won all that, and then got to the Super Bowl, and everybody thought, okay, well, they're just going to get their ass handed to them, and then they end up winning, and it was, and the thing was, my oldest sister, she's a Pats fan, right? So, and at the time, her and I, we get along great now, but at the time, we weren't getting along too great, and so I would say, 18-1, ooh. Oh, ew. I don't know. Can you put a Band-Aid on that? I don't know if that's going to help or not. She's like, shut up. I mean, he's got like 5 fucking rings. And, but when my Saints won it back in 2009, I was like, pretty much, I never thought in my lifetime that the Saints would ever win a Super Bowl. And then once they did, I was like, fuck it. I don't even need to watch football anymore.
That's true. Because that was right after Katrina, wasn't it? Because that was that
not long after, yeah. Because right after Katrina, they almost went to the Super Bowl, but they got beat by the Bears in 2006.
I remember that.
And then 3 years later, they ended up winning the whole thing. And I have
Boston breaking their curse. That was pretty magical. I'll give them that
the
one.
Cubs too.
The Red Sox.
I was born in Chicago, so I got kind of a love for the Bears and for the Cubs, and so with the Cubs a few years ago, and they finally won a World Series after 100 and something years. I'm like, bucket list. You got the Saints. I got the Cubs, the Bears back in '85. I don't give a shit if they get another one. I got the Bulls, the White Sox. Okay, I like them too. The Blackhawks. Now the only other team I really might care about are the New Orleans Pelicans, and I don't really care. So anyway,
right?
Because that's basketball, and I'm like, I used to love basketball, and now I'm just like, it's like you said, it's all too much. It's just too much. You know what I mean? It's not a simple game anymore.
It's like every play, there's like a 5-minute commercial break for advertisers, and I just like, and again, college ball is getting to be that way, but it's not quite as bad now. I mean, now with the new the name and likeness stuff, that it's probably going to get a little bit worse but not just I'm okay. Like, I'm okay with that. Players need to be compensated. These universities make an ass ton of money off of these kids, and they should be compensated. But I do think it's going to probably add a little bit of corporatization to the college level that wasn't there before. But I've always just been a bigger fan of college ball than I have been of the pros, just in general. I like college basketball. I honestly like women's basketball more than I like men's basketball in college. I was
going to say my Mississippi State ladies, they went to the national championship twice, and I think they lost to South Carolina both times, and it was just very to like 2 years in a row. And it was like, we'd never gotten that far before. Yeah. It was like, but just to be there, you know, it would have been nice to win one of them. You know, you've been there twice, but you know, that sports. I can
say that even if you're not a sports fan, I highly recommend going to a game at the Horseshoe at Ohio Stadium. It is so much fun. The atmosphere is really like electric, and to see Script Ohio, which if people are not sports fans or whatever, so we have the best damn band in the land, the marching band. And I'm not kidding when I say that they're the fucking best. Go look on YouTube for videos of their halftime performances. Like they made a Michael Jackson moonwalk across the field, like in a formation. It's seriously, they are amazing, and they do Script Ohio every game, and it's military precision. It is fascinating to watch every time. When they come out to dot the I, and like the crowd roars. You know, in most sports situations, when it's halftime or whatever, most people they go get a beer, they go to the bathroom, whatever. No, not at Ohio Stadium. Ohio Stadium, everybody stays put until the band leaves the field. Like they're almost as popular as the band or as the football team. So but like just the environment, that just being at Ohio Stadium, it's so much fun. It really is just so much fun. And I get that I'm biased, but I still just highly recommend, if you can make it to a football game at Ohio Stadium, you should do that. It's so awesome.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, when I was in my radio days, I was in college at the time too, so we would do radio remotes from Mississippi State tailgating parties and stuff like that, and it was just like there was just so much fun. You know, the game itself was great, and that's just like Podunk, Starkville, Mississippi. You know, and imagine being at like a top tier school like that the energy and just the pomp and circumstance around it was just like amazing. You know, that's what I always loved about. I loved going. I never liked watching college football games on TV. I always liked being at the game because of that energy and whatnot. So, well, here we are. 2 hours in. I'm not going to keep you anymore. I know you want to get some sleep, and you want to take care of the kitty there.
She needs her meds.
Little Jack, so sweet.
I realized I just I caught a glimpse of myself on camera, and I look a little bit like Dr. Evil petting my cat.
Yes.
And then there was a point earlier where like she was kind of hidden by the microphone, and so it kind of looked like I was stroking my own boob, like to talk about boobs again. And I'm like, this looks really weird. So I like shifted over so that people could see that
I fix that Picasso boob. That's what it was. No, there's no cat here. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Well, let's get down to. Let's get down to some business here. So, like I said, you have Action for Assange. That's on YouTube. Rockfin
every Tuesday. Yes. Yeah,
every Tuesday.
On YouTube, Rockfin, and Odyssey. It's on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. It's also on. Well, we're not doing Saturdays right now. Well, sometimes sparingly, because right now Andrew and I both have kids. His kids have tennis. My kids have cheerleading. So we're trying to. Saturdays are usually the only time we can do UK guests. So if we have a UK guest, then we'll do a Saturday. But Saturdays are a little bit hit or miss right now. But definitely every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. We also have a couple of different guest hosts that have been coming in. Krish Mohan, Gordon Dimick, Mark Lubers from Anonymous. So we have some, guest hosts that have been popping in and out to help us out. So that's every Tuesday for sure at 9 p.m. Eastern. And then Facts on the Ground, I do with Jesse Zerowell. We are actually going to be interviewing Jeb Sprague tomorrow. Nice. So you guys can look for that to come out. He's the guy who interrupted the George W. Bush event recently, as well as Mike Preisner. So we're going to be interviewing him tomorrow. So that'll be dropping probably, I don't know, maybe Saturday at some point. So definitely take a look out for that. We've done a ton of amazing interviews, in my opinion, with a lot of really interesting people. Maybe that like our interviews aren't great, but the people we interview are pretty fantastic. We've gotten really lucky on some guests. And then also I have Bitch every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Yesterday I had Andrew and Kendra on, who are both Action for Assange comrades. And then also Alex Rubinstein popped in. I just like randomly sent the link like 5 minutes before we went live to like a bunch of people, and Alex like jumped in before dinner. So that was really cool. But yeah, Bitch is a lot of fun. Like I said, it's like a 2-hour therapy session every week. And I've had a lot of really amazing people on there as well. This week we have Pasta Jardula coming on from Convo Couch. So that's going to be a lot of fun. He's one of my favorite people of all time. Hopefully I can get him to be a little bit mean. We'll see. At least be a little grumpy or something, because he's usually just so nice. He's like the biggest teddy bear. He's so like respectful and kind to everybody. And it's, I got to pull like I got to get it out of him. So that's going to be fun. The week after that, I have Liv from Fred Hampton Leftist, who is CJ's new co-host on their show. So I'm really excited for that. And then the week after that, I have a bunch of the March for Medicare for All activists coming on to update on the stuff that they've got going on, which I'm really excited for. So yeah, there's a lot of really fun stuff coming up on Bitch. So everybody can check that out on Wednesdays at 7 Eastern.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like you're busy at all. What? Oh yeah.
Oh goodness.
Anyway,
it's fine.
What happened? Shot who? No. Yes, you're very busy. I'm glad you are busy because, like I said, you speak truth to power. You're out there. You're giving us the information that we need, whether we know it or not. We do need it, and we appreciate all the hard work that you and Andrew and all the crew that you associate with that does for us. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad you were able to come on here. And
it's
like I
fun.
said, this is right. It's a good time, right? We have, it's kind of loosey-goosey.
I got to talk about cats. I got to talk about college football. I got to talk about boobs. Like, this is a great time for me.
That's like the holy trinity right there. College football, right? Cats, and boobs. Who knew? Right? Well, listen,
we need a shirt, Warren. We need a shirt. College football, cats, and boobs.
Damn it, you greedy grifter. Don't we have enough? Okay, we'll add that one. That'll be fine.
You can never have enough shirts. I have a lot of shirts. You can never have enough shirts.
I will say this though, I can't remember the last time I bought a T-shirt. All the T-shirts I have, they're all like promo shirts. When I worked at Borders Books, we got like promo shirts from events and stuff like that. When I worked I worked at Trader Joe's and I worked at Whole Foods. At Trader Joe's, they gave us like a shit ton of T-shirts. So I can't even remember. And then when I go to Comic-Con, like this one, I got my Comic-Con Chevy shirt. I don't know if you can say that. Anyway,
nice.
Free. My girl is the budget queen of New York, so she can sniff out a free shirt like a fart in an elevator. You know what I mean? It's like there's one right over there. Go sign up. Put a fake email. I don't care. Go get that shirt. We're going next week.
I buy a lot of shirts.
Yeah, dress shirts. I actually bought like a couple of Hawaiian shirts about a month ago because I had when I worked at Trader Joe's, the managers all wore Hawaiian shirts, so I was kind of stigmatized by Hawaiian shirts for a while. But that's been a while, and I finally said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get some fucking Hawaiian shirts, right? And then I hear all this shit about the Boogaloo boys wearing it. And I said, you know what? Fuck it, I don't care.
I was gonna say Magnus will love you.
Exactly. I'm like, look, if people want to call me a Boogaloo boy, I don't give a fuck. This rayon is comfy as fuck. What? I don't even give a fuck anymore. It's like you don't give a fuck what people think about you. I don't give a fuck what people think about me, and I think that is a beautiful thing. And I appreciate you because I think you're a beautiful person, and Jack is a beautiful cat. So
Baby
we
Jack,
will
Jack.
Kitty. Let me talk my my
so
kitty.
small.
Talk to him. It's up a baby kitty. Meow 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 meow. Does she do the purr meow? The you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Delicious.
She's very cute.
Misty, you are a treasure. We're gonna get you back on here sometime in the future if you're up for it.
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, we'll talk more football and more cats and stuff like that. Anything you want to do. That's what this whole show's about. You come on here. You say whatever the fuck you want, right? Whatever you don't feel comfortable saying on your show, say it on here. So I appreciate you coming. And just hang on. Let me go ahead and close this out, and I will say goodbye to you proper off camera, okay? Goodbye, Jack.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me, Gamer and Lucky Burrito, Miss Tree 1.
Tree. Yeah, Miss Tree's here. I love Miss Tree.
Yeah, everybody, if you're not doing anything at 10 o'clock, Steve Cutler Live on YouTube. He'll be putting out his nightly jams. Very, very entertaining young fella right there. I say young fella, he's probably a little bit older than me, but, you know, we're all young people in our hearts anyway. So, Misty, thank you so much. I appreciate you, doll.
Yeah, of course.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it. For Extra Bulla. No show next week. I might do, I'm going to be going to a super spreader, aka Comic-Con at the Javits Center. So I'll be taking my vitamin C, my vitamin D, and my zinc, and whatever cloak of protection that'll keep me away from the bugaboos. So we'll see what's going on. In about 2 weeks, we'll probably be back on. Thanks again to Misty, and thanks to everybody that was in the chat, in the pit, for coming out. I appreciate y'all. We'll see you next time. Have a good night, everybody.